Okay guys, I'm going to show you how to get a smoother trigger on your Glock handgun. This will work for any of the Glocks made, going all the way back from the early 80s to the ones that are shipped over right now. The technique is going to be the same on every Glock. All you need to do this is some metal polish and a little bit of time, so it's not really going to cost you anything. What we're going to be doing is polishing some of the metal parts that contact other metal parts inside of the gun. And this will give you better, more accurate shots at the range, help you to stay on target a little bit better, and this is 100% safe to do on your carry concealed gun as well. This really doesn't lighten the trigger pull at all, maybe a few ounces, but it doesn't do anything significant to the trigger pull. It just gives you a smoother feel the whole way through the trigger travel as you're pulling the trigger. So let's get started. Okay, I've already went ahead and detail stripped the Glock. For this I'm going to be using my Glock 27, and if you need to know how to detail strip the Glock, I do have a video up in HD that shows you step by step how to detail strip the entire Glock. The three parts we're going to need is the striker, the trigger bar, and the striker safety. And that's the three we're going to need to do some polishing on to give the Glock a smoother trigger. Now for this I am going to use just some standard Q-tips, and I'm going to use Flitz metal polish. Okay, now you can use a Dremel if you have one. I guess the most important thing to remember is you're not trying to remove any metal or any steel. All you're doing is buffing it, so you don't want to go too far with a Dremel, because you could if you don't use the Dremel right on these parts. You can use other types of polishes as well. You can use like Mother's Mag wheel polish or any other kind of metal polish that you might have around. Okay, the first part we're going to start with is the striker safety, and where you want to polish it is right here on the flat surface of the face. That's all that needs it. We just want to make this smooth and shiny. Okay, just go over it with your Q-tip with the polish on it, and then take a regular, just some kind of a white rag, something white and cotton, or any kind of rag really, and just go ahead and buff the top of it back off. Okay, do this process several times until the face of this safety is smooth and shiny. Okay, I've went over this a few times now, going back and forth from a Q-tip with the polish on it, then buffing it off with a clean rag. That's as far as I need to go with this striker safety. Next, we're going to work on the striker. Now the areas you need to hit on the striker are right here on the inside face and right here along this edge. You don't want to do too much around this curve. You want this angle to stay sharp right here, okay? So just do right in here and do on this flat part right here. And again, I'm going to go back and forth from using a Q-tip like this, rubbing the polish on, then I'm going to hit it with a clean rag. Every time you do this, you should see black on the rag. Okay, so I'm going to go over this a few more times and I'll show you it when it's done. Okay, you can see how much brighter it is now. Shiny there. Also, when I'm done and I put this gun back together, I am going to show you exactly why we polished the areas that we polished and where they contact. So there, that's good enough. I just went over it about 3 times, back and forth from Q-tip to rag, and that's how it came out. It has a much smoother feel to it, and that's what you want. Okay, now we're going to move on to the final piece, which is the trigger bar. Okay, now there's 3 areas on here that we're going to need to hit. Number 1, right here, from here all the way out to the end. I'm going to polish this whole piece right here. Okay, then up on top, we're going to polish this little piece right here that ramps up, and we're going to polish these pieces right here. I'm basically just going to polish the whole thing though. Okay, but we need to hit this area, and this one right here. And then we need to polish on the top of this right here. Right there, just like that. We need to make that smooth along that top edge. You don't need to do the sides of this or anything like that, just along the top here. Get this to focus in. Right there. Okay, I am going to start right in here. Let's take the Q-tip in there. Go back and forth just like that. Of course, you're going to see the black coming off. Now I'm going to get my rag and go in there. Try to wipe that out the best I can. You have to turn the rag as well several times. Or you could also go back in here with clean Q-tips and use that also. Okay, I will go over this part a couple of more times, but I want to show you guys the other areas that we have to hit on the trigger bar. Okay. Now I'm going to go to this part right here on top. This is the area you want to be doing. Paying special attention to the little part that curves up at the back of the trigger bar. See how that curves up? Okay, now I'm going to come back in with the rag again, buff that off, and I'm going to have to go over this a couple of times as well until this is done. But you can see already how it started to get more shiny and smooth out. Okay, now we're going to go to the final area on the trigger bar. And that is right here. I'm going to go on that top edge. Come in with a rag, buff it off again. Okay guys, now I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. Alright, I just finished up on the trigger bar, and here's what it should look like, something like this. It's as far as you need to go. Okay, then inside here, should look something like that. And this part's kind of hard to show, but on the top edge of this, got that done as well. Okay guys, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reassemble this gun, and I'm going to show you why I polished those parts and where they contact when the trigger is pulled and the gun is fired. Okay guys, I may have failed to mention this at the beginning of the video, but the last thing that we need to polish is the connector right here. Okay? And where we are going to polish is from under this lip down. I just go ahead and do the whole piece right here to where it rounds off. You don't have to go that far. You really only need to come down about this far. But I'm going to do from the lip all the way down. We need to get that smoothed out as well. Just like that, right there. That's all you have to do. I got a little bit too much polish on there. You don't have to use that much when you do this. It doesn't take a whole lot. And then again, just come in with a rag here and go ahead and buff that down. Okay, I'm going to go over this a couple more times. Okay guys, just do it until it looks a little something like this. And that's all you need to do for that part. Okay guys, before I get this back together, I just wanted to take a second here and show you why we polished the connector and the inside face of the trigger bar right here, because these two parts contact each other right here as the trigger's pulled. So that's the reason for polishing these two parts. I'll show you the rest in a second. Okay guys, remember we polished the top edge of this piece right here, and we polished the striker safety. When the trigger is pulled, the top edge of this right here contacts the striker safety to push the spring in, pushes it up this way, so it unblocks the striker, okay? And then this piece back here on the back of the striker that we polished here and right here, and we polished this piece right here, this contacts this piece as the trigger's pulled, okay? So that's the reason for polishing all those parts. Okay guys, I hope this helps. It's a very cheap, easy way to get a much smoother trigger pull on your Glock instantly and without ordering any parts. If you'd also like, you could order a 3.5 pound connector and replace the Glock stock 5.5 pound connector at the same time as you do this. And that makes for a lighter trigger pull as well as much smoother at the same time. So let me know what you think, guys. If you have any questions, just go ahead and send me a message or comment. This is Humans for Targets. And I'm out.